Learning to read English presents an immediate problem. If you rely on a single memorized word to decode a letter, you create a single point of failure. If that one word slips from memory, the letter becomes meaningless. The structural solution is redundancy. By pairing two distinct, consistent vocabulary words to a single letter, you build multiple retrieval paths. If one association fails, the second remains to guide the learner back to the correct sound. We pair the consonant B with two distinct physical objects, a bat and a ball. The decoding process starts by stripping away the rest of the word. You isolate the initial sound, the B in bat and ball, before processing the remaining letters. This exact same predictable initial sound extraction applies across the board for surrounding consonants. You extract the hard K from cat and cup for C, the D from dog and dots for D, and the hard G from goat and grass for G. By establishing this rigid dual anchor baseline, you give the brain a predictable algorithm. It locks in the standard consonant phonemes, fully preparing the reader to face the anomalies of the English language. Consonants mostly obey the rules of initial sound extraction. Vowels, however, introduce systemic volatility into the sequence. This grid lays out the baseline for vowels. A, E, I, and U follow standard, predictable short sound pathways. You extract the short A from apple and ant, the E from egg and elephant, the E from ink and insect, and the A from uncle and umbrella. Then the sequence breaks. The letter O completely abandons the established short sound rule. Instead of offering a predictable short sound, like you would find in the word ostrich, the letter O forces the reader to adapt on the fly. The pathway splits. One anchor, ocean, requires a long vowel sound, while the second, or, demands a blended R-controlled sound. Navigating vowels requires constant adaptation. True phonetic decoding depends heavily on recognizing exactly when these standard rules shift. Moving rapidly through the mid-alphabet consonants restores a sense of structural security. From the M of man and monkey at M, straight through to the W of well and water at W, the initial sound extraction holds firm. This predictable sequence leads directly into a phonetic trap. If you apply the initial sound rule to a word like xylophone, the visual X outputs a verbal Z sound. The extraction fails. To extract the true X sound of the letter X, we have to execute a positional shift. We look to words like box and fox, where the target sound is anchored at the very end of the word. Mastering the phonetic code means knowing when to abandon the beginning of a word entirely and instead locate the vital anchor sound hidden at its tail end. We will pause the sequence here to test your active recall. You must rely purely on the visual patterns we have established. Look at this pairing. Deduce the correct sound and the corresponding vocabulary words based entirely on the visual evidence provided before the time expires. The target is the S sound, anchored by the words sun and sunflower. Successfully extracting that data confirms your ability to apply the dual anchor logic without external assistance. We finish with a sprint through the final anchors. The V of violin and violet, the W of well and water, the Y of yacht and yellow, right down to the Z of zoo and zebra. These isolated lessons now assemble into a comprehensive phonetic toolkit. When encountering unfamiliar texts in the real world, you deploy this matrix. You map the unrecognized letter against its established anchor, extract the correct sound, and process the word. These 26 relationships provide a consistent framework for approaching text. Once the associations are established, even an unfamiliar word becomes a sequence of manageable, predictable sounds.